single yes to a stranger changed the direction of my entire life. I almost said no. That's the part I think about the most now. How close I was to brushing it off like every other small invitation life throws at you. I was standing in line at a tiny community center, waiting to drop off paperwork for a job I didn't even want that badly, when the woman behind the desk looked up and asked, almost casually, "Would you like to help us this afternoon?" I blinked at her. "Help how?" She smiled. "We're short one volunteer for the after-school program. Just a few hours. You mostly sit with the kids while they do homework." I was tired. I was broke. I was emotionally empty in that specific way that makes even small kindness feel like too much effort. My instinct was to shake my head, grab my papers, and leave. But instead I heard myself say, "Okay." I don't know why. Maybe it was the way she asked, like she already believed I would. Maybe it was the silence I'd been drowning in lately. Or maybe part of me was just desperate to feel useful to someone again. That afternoon, I found myself sitting at a chip table covered in pencil marks, surrounded by children who didn't know my name and didn't care to learn it yet. They were loud, impatient, restless, full of energy I didn't have. One little girl sat across from me, scowling at a math worksheet like it had personally offended her. "I hate numbers," she announced. "Me too," I said honestly. She looked up, surprised. "Really? Really?" I nodded. "But we can hate them together." She smiled, just a little, and slid the paper toward me. That became our thing. Every problem we solved felt like a tiny victory. Every correct answer earned a dramatic celebration. Slowly, her shoulders relaxed. Her voice softened. When her mom arrived to pick her up, she clung to my arm and said, "Can she come back tomorrow?" Something in my chest tightened. I did come back. The next day, and the day after that. What started as a one-time favor turned into a routine I began looking forward to more than anything else in my week. The kids learned my name. They argued over who got to sit next to me. They told me stories about their days, their fears, their dreams, with the unfiltered honesty only children have. One boy confided that he hated going home because it was too quiet. Another told me she wanted to be a doctor, so nobody has to be scared at the hospital anymore. They trusted me with pieces of themselves, without realizing how much they were getting me back in return. The unexpected shift came one evening, when the coordinator pulled me aside. "You're really good with them," she said. "Have you ever thought about doing this full-time?" I laughed. "No, I don't even know what I'm doing with my own life." She shrugged. "Most people who belong here don't." That sentence stayed with me. I started training. Took courses. Learned how to listen instead of fix. How to be steady instead of perfect. I watched kids who once refused to speak out loud read entire paragraphs proudly. I watched confidence bloom in places I only seen fear before. And somewhere along the way, I noticed something else. I was lighter. I slept better. I laughed more. The emptiness I'd been carrying didn't disappear. It transformed. It became purpose. Months later, one of the kids handed me a folded piece of paper. Inside was a messy drawing of us sitting at that same scratch table. Above it, in crooked letters, were the words, "Thank you for staying." I cried in the bathroom so no one would see. That day, I understood something simple and terrifying. Sometimes the life you're meant to live isn't found through grand plans or perfect timing. Sometimes it starts with a small, inconvenient yes, with choosing to show up when it would be easier not to. I walked into that community center feeling lost, invisible, unsure if I mattered to anyone. I walk out knowing I did, not because I was special, but because I stayed. And now, every time life asks me a quiet question, I listen a little closer. Because one yes changed everything.